Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode of the BG Show. I'm here to do a non-spoiler review for the new Lord of the Rings animated movie, The War of Rohirrim. I think I pronounced that correctly. But anyway, as I said, non-spoiler thoughts. So let's just get right into it. First off, it's great to see the Lord of the Rings movie in theaters again. Obviously, there's Rings of Power, which I've watched a little bit of. I didn't watch season 2. I still got to finish season 1. But the movie theater is just a different experience. And anyway, regardless of how good or bad this movie was, it's just great to go to a movie now and be able to see an animated movie in theaters. We're moving more and more in that direction, which I obviously love. If this is your first time on my channel, I speak a lot about animation. I absolutely love it, particularly when they use it with IP, like Lord of the Rings, like DC, Marvel, Star Wars. Hopefully we're getting Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, so we'll see. And right off the bat, I thought this was a solid movie. Now, I'm not a huge... I would say I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not like a mega fan. I guess you can say... I wouldn't say I'm a casual fan. I mean, I've seen the movies a bunch of times. I don't know the lore that well, so I guess you can say I'm not really like a megastar, but overall, not megastar, mega fan. But I still like the movies a lot. I like the world. It's just not something that I think about on a daily basis like I do the other movie franchises. This movie, I guess overall, I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it was a great movie. I didn't think it was amazing. I do think it's worth seeing in theaters, especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. I understand it's not a Tolkien made story, so it's not exactly accurate to books. I think the story is potentially totally made up, but Brian Cox does a really good job. It's essentially, I think, about 175 to 180 years before Fellowship of the Ring, and we're in Rohan, which we saw a lot in the movies, and essentially the King of Rohan is voiced by Brian Cox. And I guess I'll do a little bit of a small spoiler just to set the story up. So skip this if you don't want to hear it. But essentially, Brian Cox gets into a fight with one of the lords under him who wants his son Wolf to marry the king's daughter. Who the daughter is really the main character of the movie, and that's another complaint, is that really Brian Cox's character, the king, and the villain aren't really the main characters. It's more of this daughter character, which doesn't hurt the movie, but I think it's a valid complaint. And essentially they get into this fight, and they decide to, basically take it outside and get into a fist fight. And Brian Cox's character, the king, basically punches him, and the guy ends up dying. The Lord ends up dying. This obviously pisses off the son, who then turns into a villain, and the movie gets going. It just wasn't, it's more of an anime style movie. So, when I say animated, yeah, it's animated, but I'd say it's more anime style. It's not like a stylized animation, like Spider-Verse. And I know people are going to cringe when I bring up Spider-Verse because, I'm just a Marvel person. My love of Spider-Verse, yes, I love Spider-Man, but it really just has to do more with the creativity of the movie. That's why when I talk about animation, I always bring up Spider-Verse, because to me, I've never gone into an animated movie and been that surprised or that impressed with just the animation style. And regardless of what that movie was about, obviously Spider-Man was a bonus, but even if that movie was like a nature documentary with those graphics, I still would be interested because it just looks so cool. So you didn't really get anything like that here. It's not, like I said, it's not terrible. It's not even mediocre. I just say it's good. It's like in that 7 to 8 range, 7.5. It's good to be back in the lore. Would it be better as a live action movie? I don't think so. I think this movie probably is pretty forgettable as a live action movie. And again, I think it's if Lord of the Rings, the difference between Lord of the Rings and every other movie franchise is that they've won Academy Awards. So if you're going to do a live action movie, Star Wars can make, prequels, sequels. Oh, they're not as good as the originals. Okay. The original Star Wars movies never won Academy Awards. Lord of the Rings won Academy Awards. They're epic movies. It's arguably the best trilogy ever. So you're already starting in such a hole. I mean, regardless of what movie you're making, you pretty much know already right off the bat that no one's going to take those movies as seriously as the trilogy. In Star Wars, although it's very hard to make a movie that's considered as good as the originals, you still have a chance. There's a lot of people who have Rogue One in their top 3. There's a lot of people who have Last Jedi in their top 3. The difference is, I mean, you'd have to make just such a good movie to even be considered in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I think it's smarter to start with animation or to do animation, because we've seen what happens with Rings of Power. They, and that show, I've heard it's gotten better, so I can't fully comment on it, but that movie was doomed from the start because you're making something that fans aren't going to be happy with, especially with not Tolkien not involved. He's not alive, obviously, but stories that might not be authentic to his writing, and then obviously Peter Jackson not being involved is probably the biggest red flag for a lot of fans. So I thought the animation was a smart choice. I'd be interested in seeing another movie, just kind of go around the universe. I'd love to see a Game of Thrones show or movie in this style. I think there's a lot of things. Harry Potter. There's so many different IPs that would be good in animated style. That's my non-spoiler review for now. I'll have to do another one for spoilers. I just wanted to get this out. Thanks, guys, for watching. I would recommend seeing this in theaters. I think it's a solid movie. Some complaints are valid, but if you're just a casual Lord of the Rings fan, if you like animated movies, I think this is worth the watch. Thanks, guys, for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.